Hello everybody, welcome on in for part 2 of our absolute insane descent into the dark place that is extended Alan Wake and Remedyverse lore. So, anybody who is just finding this for the first time, I just want to get this out of the way. This will not be a stereotypical playthrough of Alan Wake. If you're interested in just a simple playthrough, I do have another version of that on the channel for the first when Alan Wake Remastered came out. This one is for all the lore junkies who want to see literally everything, all the multimedia lore as well. This includes the novelization, the survival guide, the Alan Wake files, the comic books, the Old Gods website, everything. So we're going to be doing a lot of stopping of the gameplay to go over that stuff, so it might not be the cup of tea for everybody, but if you want just a playthrough, I do have that as well. And spoiler warning, I will be talking about the entire Remedy connected universe with no red tape involved. Anyways, cheers. I'm gonna raise my adult juices for everybody. Wait, that came out wrong. My adult... You know what I mean. You know what I mean. My Scottish adult drink. Cheers. That did come out wrong. Anyways, so before we get going, I did want to make a quick little backtrack on something that we were talking about yesterday, or not yesterday, Wednesday, when we were going through the Bright Falls prequel television series. And there's a lot of comments, and actually I really like what they're talking about and the theory they're making regarding Jake and the notepad that he ended up writing while interviewing Dr. Hartman. So let's switch back to the wiki page and reread that with this context. Alright, so here we go. So basically what we were talking about is possibly Jake was channeling Zane or some other force while he was writing that, but some comments are saying, you know what might be more accurate, considering he's a journalist, is that he was actually channeling Hartman's inner thoughts. So as a journalist, in his medium of writing would be, I'm trying to get to know what's going on here, I'm trying to investigate. So the power of the lake would probably make that, facilitate that general idea. So the person he's interviewing, Hartman, would reveal more to him through a psychic connection, through his para-utilitarianism, than he otherwise would. So if this is supposed to be Hartman's inner thoughts, let's reread this real quick. Don't stare, stop staring, stop staring, stop, which would be literally anybody that he doesn't want to know what kind of illegal activity he's getting up to as a paracriminal. You cannot corrupt me, you will not abandon me ever again. This is likely in relation to Thomas Zane abandoning him back in the 70s. This time people will notice, embrace me or fear me. His intention to use the artists at his lodge to rewrite reality in his own image. No more light, it's hungry for more. No vessel, no apostle, do not run, this is my suffering. The only part I can't rationalize yet is this is my suffering, thank you for my suffering. Maybe it's a guilt complex, who knows? I'll be the first and only one to make it through to come back, and for this reason I'm at peace. No matter what else I do here, I've already arranged my legacy. It really feels like Hartman writing a memoir. And that would make perfect sense from the perspective of a journalist trying to write a paper on Hartman. And if we flash back to the couple pages before we got to the weird one, Jake was writing about how he thought Hartman was kind of full of shit, or he was just like giving his initial opinions. So it would make a lot of sense that this is Hartman speaking, in which case we see what kind of para-utilitarian Jake is. Anyways, let's get back to the game. So I saw some some comments in chat before we got started regarding stuff like the Lost Room, and I'm seeing now Magnus Archives. I've only listened to the first episode of the Magnus Archives, so haven't gone through the whole thing, but my sister is obsessed with it. Now, I mentioned last stream that I was considering, and what I want to do is I have a buddy that we're doing some stuff behind the scenes, and he has never seen Twin Peaks. So I've only seen the first 4 episodes of it with my sister, and recently I only watched the first 2 episodes, so I really don't know much. And I thought it'd be fun just to sit down, I show it to him, and we record our reactions. And since someone mentioned Lost Room, I think that'd be a fun one to watch too. Like anything that's like Remedyverse coded. What would everyone's opinion be if either we made a new segment on this channel or created a brand new channel as a sister one? And I thought it'd be fun to call it something like the Overlap Hunters, where we're looking for any type of media that isn't overlap with the Remedyverse, and just like go through it. Yeah, Mouth of Madness, that'd be another good one. But literally the title of the segment would be, or the channel would be Overlap Hunters. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Anyways. With that said, let me go ahead and grab my list of notes, aka my novel of notes, and let's get into the game before I start rambling way too much. Come on, loading screen, you can do this. Dude, it's insane that it took 3 hours to get past the prologue just to the point where Alan wakes up in the car. 3 hours, people. This is insane. Anyways. It would be fun if you had folks to discuss details. I'm a big fan of the Remedy and Lynch stuff. Like, my sister's a huge David Lynch fan, so I'm trying to get her input. She's also a huge Stephen King fan. So I'm trying to get some information from her regarding the Rememberverse. Anyways, back to the game. So while we don't know this yet, during the flashback, we do see that Alan drove off the street. He actually ran right into that billboard before the car crashed and fell down here.
Among Alice's things was a book, The Creator's Dilemma, by a Dr. Emil Hartman. Seeing the book brought back my fight with Alice. I didn't like it, and I didn't like the guy's smug face on the cover either.
Alright, so there's a really cool detail in the novelization, which, just as a forewarning, the novel is non-canon, or at the very least semi-canon, because there are details that contradict, that are incongruent with the game itself. But there's a little detail in this scene that I think is really cool, is Alan rips a page out of The Creator's Dilemma and writes a note on the back of it saying, "Wife is missing, going to the gas station to find help," and he signs it Alan Wake. So that if anybody happens to come across the car, he knows what's going on, here's the situation, this is where he's going, which I think is a very cool detail. I think like it just makes sense, so I'm going to accept that as headcanon, because one, it doesn't contradict anything in the game, and two, it just adds to it, so cool. Let's move on with that part of it. Now, there is a police report that was filed on the vehicle after it was uncovered here, and I know that Agent Nightingale did investigate the crashed car here, but we have a police report, and I think Mulligan did it. So let's switch over and take a look at that. It's in the survival guide on page 43. Okay, page 43. Back up. There we go. Oh, back up. Okay, stop with the highlighting. That's annoying. All right, so here's the police report as possible 510 or 595. I did find the codes with this. I think it had to do with like either driving under the influence or something of that nature, or the criminal codes. It was located at the Black River Curves, which we will cross Black River in this episode, so we'll go there. Persons involved is Alan Wake. Suspect, Alice Wake. I don't know why they label Alice here as a suspect. Maybe they're presuming like a domestic disturbance or a domestic dispute kind of thing. Who knows? I love the property tag is AW1/DED. Whatever that coding is, who knows? And it was reported by Thornton here and approved by Sheriff Breaker. Okay. In 911, distress call originated from Miss Janet Troop of 1512 Black Creek Road, who reported portions of the highway safety barrier was missing on her journey back from church. Now, remember last time, back in the 70s and 80s, we always had that one bystander who was witnessing everything named Carol Troop. Well, apparently now, I presume a daughter is now witnessing everything up in the 2000s. For some reason, the Troop family seems to be in the wrong place at the wrong time every single time. No suppositions, I'm just making note of it. Okay, officers responded to the call on patrol Route 15 after stopping at Stucky's gas station down on Highway 91A. Sheriff Breaker reported picking up a man in a confused and bewildered state in the garage earlier that night. So this is written the following morning after this episode. No sign of Carl Stucky, owner of the garage. Deputy Mulligan noticed that Stucky advertisement was dislodged and decided to investigate. Once at the crash site, officers noted damage to a sign, electrical pole, and around 20 to 25 feet of clifftop barrier. Works Department was then notified to photograph taken Exhibit 1A, requested for a heavy crane made when it was noticed a vehicle matching suspect A. Wake. Vehicle had fallen into a small crevasse. No other vehicles seemed to be involved. Larson's auto dealership arrived at 8:15 a.m. to remove the vehicle. Occupants appears to have left the vehicle before it rolled into, and we don't see the next page of this. So yes, Larson's auto dealership, we know what's going on there. Freaking great old one. Okay. And for those who are wondering why I keep making note of Larson, he may be an Eldritch entity, or at least someone who works there may be an Eldritch entity. Just saying. But we'll talk about that much later. Alright. Let me just cross that off. There we go. Alright. You're the other kind of Larson. Yeah, I think it's funny that they named an auto dealership Larson when it could be a larceny.
They'd have a phone I could use. It looked like a long hike through the forest to get there.
You joke, Trailblazer, but I've been playing the crap out of the Death Rally remake. I'm trying to 100% achievement it, but I don't think that's gonna happen. It literally, minimum is like 80 hours of gameplay. Oh, sorry, vehicle. Oh yeah, Nightingale did, along with Thornton, investigated this after he arrived on site. Yeah, Trailblazer. It's basically because you need to earn $50 million in rewards for finishing matches, and I've done everything else in the game. I'm only at like 2 million.
Hello?
I've gotten every other achievement.
Hello? Is someone there? The loose sheets of paper were pages from a manuscript entitled Departure. That was the name I planned to use for the next novel I had never gotten started. I was named the author. I hadn't written it. I couldn't remember writing it. In the scene on the page, the hero was attacked by an axe murderer in the woods at night.
So to answer your question, Coolin, we do hear more of Clay Stewart in this game, but also we see more of him in the This House of Dreams blog.
Departure by Alan Wake. The man turned to face me. His face was covered in shadows. It was hard to make him out in the darkness of the forest that surrounded us, but the axe he lifted was plain to see. It glistened with the blood of his victim. He grinned madly. The shadows were alive, distorting his features. It was a scene from a nightmare, but I was awake.
Alright, so I'm going to do my best to just go through what this is supposed to tell us. Like, obviously, it's a very simple scene. There's nothing lore-wise here. But what this is supposed to tell us in a first-time playthrough is, oh yeah, everything you just saw in the nightmare at the beginning, yeah, that's now happening for real. That's really about it. Now, some things are more important than others, but that's really all they're trying to tell us here. Nightmare modes, really, only they deal more damage and take, I want to say, an extra, like, 50% damage. Tony. It's fine. We should be good. So far, my only death is because I walked right off a cliff for no reason.
Anybody there? Please, I've been in an accident.
Alrighties, and we're heading on through. So one thing I do want to point out throughout this whole experience is, if you remember in Control, basically the game was structured so that we are doing a tour guide of the oldest house. So you're like, oh, first we're going to the research section, then we're going to maintenance. Or first, okay, executive, research, maintenance. But we're just like looking around the whole place to get a feel for it. This game is very similar, except we're doing a tour guide of the town and all the different things within it. And so the first place we're coming up to is going to be the Biltmore Sawmill. Now, Biltmore was one of the original founders of Bright Falls back in the 19th century, and his descendants...
The lights up ahead were a good sign. Maybe I wouldn't have to hike all the way down to the gas station to find a phone.
I mean, you see on the side of that building, it says Biltmore Logging Company, so a descendant of the original guy is now running this logging facility. Alright, so this is a nightmare difficulty only manuscript.
Barry took another sip of the heavenly coffee. He grinned at Rose. Surely this was love. Rose gushed on breathlessly. The new one will be a masterpiece, I know it. You must tell him not to listen to the trolls in the forums saying Departure will never get finished. He should take his time and make it perfect. I can wait.
Which this really shows, because, like, remember at when we were in the diner, we talked about how Alan's impression of Rose was very similar to the Dragon Lady in Misery, where Paul Sheldon was basically, yeah, drugged and hobbled, or in the book, I think his legs were cut off, but whatever, doesn't matter. But Rose is the opposite. She's like, no, you're good. I trust you. Do your thing. I'm going to stay out of this. She's like the polar opposite of the Dragon Lady, despite what Alan thinks of her in a split second. And frankly, I think that type of attention might have been very good for Alan's mental health, because everybody, his publisher, his agent, his wife, the whole populace in general is kind of forcing him, saying, hey, you gotta write this, get writing, write departure, get it going, I need to see it. And Rose is like, no, dude, you're good, take your time, I'm fine. Imagine if the entire world acted like Rose to Alan. I think she'd actually be a very good influence on.
Anybody there?
Anyways.
Please, I've been in an accident.
So it's actually gonna...
Hey.
What? Oh, wait.
Hey, you!
Phil!
There's been an accident. I need help. Listen, I need to...
Premium cabins for rent in...
Oh, hell.
Carl Stucky. Pleased to meet you. Non-refundable reservation deposit required. Fair and square.
Duh.
Fair and square.
Okay, so according to the survival guide, this actually is built. This is Mr. Biltmore himself, the descendant of the original founder of Bright Falls, that was killed. The novel says it's a random hunter, but because we're here, it makes sense that this is actually Biltmore. Uh-oh, you guys ready for some Thermos lore? Thermos lore time, let's do this. Alright, so what page is this on? This is on page 45. Okay, there we go. So, this coffee thermos fell off the back of the pickup truck close to where we found the body of Biltmore. See, right here it even says this is the body of Biltmore we just found. So, Survival Guide agrees with the whole thing. There were signs of a deep stab wound consistent with an axe. Forensics are taking care of him. Meanwhile, I'm hunting for cold coffee across the Pacific Northwest. So yeah, it's confirming a little bit of story here, but it's also showing his mental state where he's like, dude, there's a dead body, and I'm sitting here hunting coffee thermoses. Why are they making me do this? It is stupid. Anyways. Let's check that off. Let me check off a few things here. Isn't it Biltmore? Yeah, so Stucky's supposed to be the caretaker of the logging yard, which makes sense since he's here. And originally, this whole area was part of Hubert Biltmore's land, but it was later sold off to the Biltmore Incorporated, which is the company that came from that. Okay, let's go.
The Taken stood before me. It was impossible to focus on it, as if it stood in a blind spot caused by a brain tumor and eye disease. It was bleeding shadows like ink underwater, like a cloud of blood from a shark bite. I was terrified. I squeezed the flashlight like my life depended on it, willing it to stop coming any closer. Suddenly something gave, and the light seemed to shine brighter.
Well, Boombi, like, what really it comes down to is Alan is very critical of his own work, so by extension, he thinks anybody who appreciates the work that he personally dislikes, therefore, is wrong and dumb for liking something that he dislikes. And this is how he is at the beginning. Now, 13 years in the dark place does a lot to change a person, is all I'm going to say, because yes, in Alan Wake 2, he's very clearly different in how he handles things. Oh, ZT, were you asking questions on Alan Wake and Pain? Yeah. We'll talk a little bit more about that once we get to episode 4. But that's all we got for right now. Oh, stop it. Stop it, Stucky. Game volume could be higher for you? Okay. Sure. Let me turn you up, and let me turn my voice down a little bit. Let me know if that works a little bit better. Because I mastered this based upon me talking at this volume, but I'm talking a lot louder. Oh, Jesus!
I had to figure a way out of this. Any second now, and Stucky would be knocking on the door with his axe like Nicholson in The Shining.
You're Stucky. Yes, exactly. Oh yeah, I agreed World Holder. By American Nightmare, Alan has changed a lot. I mean, in his defense, and this is something I released in my video on Alan entitled Sorry, the cat is scratching at the door. One moment. I'll be right back. So there's your food. There's your food, yeah. She literally just wanted to have me right next to her while she eats rather than eating in the hallway. But anyways, what was I saying? So in my video on the flawed hero that is Alan Wake, I did mention that to play devil's advocate here, given all the horror that came out of his head that is the story of Departure, Alan had no idea this would actually change reality at the time, plus he was under the full control of the Dark Presence who was forcing him to do whatever it wanted. So Alan had literally no idea that things would turn out this way. So I give him a pass, and once he got in full control of the story, the only person he harmed was himself. It was a self-sacrifice when he was in full cognitive control of himself. So I'll give him the pass. Let's be honest, all of us, if we were to sit down and write a story without thinking about consequences for reality, we can have dark plot lines pop out. And it's perfectly safe, as long as it doesn't affect reality. We do things differently if it was affecting reality.
Trying. It's the latest thing. Incontestably proven. Health let you.
Yes.
Great Falls Sheriff Station.
Oh, damn.
Hello? Hello?
Cholesterol levels. Sorry. So, also at ZOZ, Mr. Scratch wrote all of the return manuscript. Alan just tried to edit what Scratch wrote in the attempt to mitigate the damage. So, you could also argue that Alan didn't really write all of it, it was Scratch. Under the influence of Tom the filmmaker's narcotics. So, it's, again, there's a caveat there. Yes, we're playing the Veravir, we're playing the remastered version. I prefer the original, but we kind of need to do this because the collectibles reset on this one. And in the Steam version, I can't get it to reset. That's really the main reason. Zoe, please don't sit in front of the monitor.
My head pounded with a concussion. I'd never fired a gun outside a shooting range, and now I just killed someone. Or something. There were no bodies. They just disappeared. If I was dreaming, it felt real enough to make me sick.
Yes, so the Scratch in American Nightmare is different than the Scratch in, Zoe, come on, down. Is different than the one in Return for Alan Wake 2. Oh, she's a good girl. No, Zoe. She's like, no, I don't want to sit in your lap. I want to sit in your face. Alright, so cool little detail here is apparently the reason why Alan was in a shooting range is because he was doing research on one of his books. So he spent some time, you know, handling a firearm for a little bit.
Eerie hand-painted graffiti was revealed by my flashlight. Someone had hidden a chest of supplies near it.
Alright, thank you, Cynthia. And... okay, no, cat, please don't sit on the keyboard. Okay, let me just move that keyboard over here so you can sleep all across the desk. You are a good girl. And, of course, she's typing in chat. Yeah, that's her. That's entirely her. Alright, so cool little detail is apparently in the survival guide, every single one of these hidden caches has a memo that was left alongside the gear. And it was written... well, we'll see. Let's give it a second. It was written by Cynthia, let's be real. So let's switch over to the survival guide real quick. And this was on page 47. So literally, Cynthia will leave a note for Alan at every single one of her caches. This one says, Brightness conquers darkness. The tools of the traveler are placed in this chest, behind the storage bay at Biltmore's first logging camp. May they help you through your nightmare and into the light. It's kind of like the Alex Casey lunchboxes where Rose would leave little messages for Saga. Well, she does the same thing, and she's very literate. There's a lot of quotes from poets and authors and heads of states and stuff like that. So we'll go through them as we pick up the hidden caches. There we go. Okay, so that's... Let me check that off. Boom. Let's go. Cat runs social media account. You know what? The second she stops sassing me, she could probably run her own account, let's be honest. Yes, Cynthia was a reporter. And that will become relevant in a little bit. Yeah, the American...
The dark forest was the last place
Zoe.
I wanted to go, but I had no choice. I had to get to the gas station.
Yeah, so American Nightmare Scratch was just a public perception of Alan that was not congruent with reality, made flesh. It was more of like a tulpa, formed by the public consciousness than anything else. Now, the Scratch in Alan Wake 2 was more of a dark presence-possessed Alan. And the version of Scratch that was writing Return was being influenced by Tom the filmmaker. Hey, Average Archive. Yes, Lost Lore. Is Nightmare harder? Just everything hit? It's not that... Yeah, everything deals more damage and it has more health. That's really about it. Okay, so this is a Nightmare difficulty only.
Rose knew she had been gushing, but right now, she didn't care.
Actually, no.
As far as she was concerned, her brief meeting with Alan Wake was literally the high point of her life. She watched as he got in the car with his wife. She was pretty, confident, at ease with Wake. Not like Rose. They were perfect for each other. She'd have given anything to be called their friend.
So I take it back. This is not a Nightmare version part of it. And this really goes, like, the characterization of Rose in Alan Wake 2 was far more obsessive about Alan, and this one, it's very clear that she had no real, like, romantic inclinations where she's like, oh, I'm going to be a homewrecker kind of thing, you know what I mean? No, that was never really a thing. She perfectly respected Alice and just kind of just, like, wanted to be around them to feed off their aura, so to speak. And yes, I am in the camp that... Hold on, I saw a comment here that I wanted to respond to.
What the hell was that?
Kielbasa Mage, I am in the camp that the Zane, the filmmaker Zane, is a reimagined version of Scratch from American Nightmare. That is a personal hypothesis of mine. Alright, so this is the Black River that was referenced earlier.
When I saw the river below, something uncoiled itself inside my head. I realized that I'd have to find a way across. I didn't even want to look at the water.
Okay, so just for some fun, I do want to track Alan's journey on a map real quick. So, where we're at right now is this is Cauldron Lake, and this is Black River right along here. I don't know if I need to zoom in a little bit. So right along here is the Black River that we're currently crossing on the way to Stucky's gas station. So my presumption is Alan left on the north end and had the vehicle impact right around here. And then now he's walking through this path to get to the gas station. Hey, Miner. Well, hey, from Russia. What's up? And the cat's knocking over all my adult drink. It's okay. The caps are on. Ruh-roh, we got ourselves a thermos. Boom. Alright. Let's switch on over. Alrighty, so thermos number 8 is on page 50. Let's take a look at some thermos lore. That's 49. There we go. Okay. Thermos, buddy. Wait, hold on. That says number 9. Is this the one? Easily overlook the far corner of the timber yard. Nope, that's the wrong one. Did I put... I think I put the wrong... Here, 8. This is the right one. Page 48. Another identical coffee thermos had been placed at the end of a small boulder island in the middle of the river. Applying logic to explain their presence was getting impractical. Head office needs answers, and all I'm finding are more questions. Okay. Oh, and there's a detail in the survival guide, which I find kind of interesting, where... Because remember, David Hodgson, the guy who wrote the survival guide, is a resident of Watery who claims to have a psychic connection with Alan and was kind of like a psychic hitchhiker and could understand his emotional state and his actions from a distance. Now, he claims that as Alan is crossing the Black River, he comments in his head, or at least his internal monologue, is stating that he feels like a puppet and basically an avatar obeying the whims of an omnipresent, controlling deity. Which is essentially us. So in this scene, Alan is literally aware of me controlling his every action. Because I am the omnipresent deity controlling him like a puppet. Okay.
Barry Wheeler was bouncing off the walls. He jumped on a plane after his calls were ignored by both Al and Alice for several days. It could mean that they were both on a second honeymoon, but Barry didn't buy it. Al had been way too unstable for that, not sleeping, messed up. Barry had years of experience dealing with Alan Wake, and he couldn't ignore it. Something was wrong.
Okay, so this is mostly just confirmation, one, that there was a time skip between the going into the cabin and the car crash, and Barry's on his way. Not much from that. Yeah, exactly, Wimpy. I agree that Alan had no understanding of what power he wielded while he was working on this story. Plus, he was in a mind-altered state, so I don't really hold him accountable for his actions. It'd be the equivalent of getting someone...
still out there, in the dark, stalking me.
It'd be the equivalent of someone drugging someone on, like, LSD and then throwing them into the middle of a weird situation, throwing a knife in their hand, and then going, oh, he's responsible. He's the one who started stabbing people. I had nothing to do with that. You know what I mean? I mean, it's very similar to how Nicole Horn took Valkyr junkies, threw them right in front of Max Payne's house. And it's like, oh, well, I didn't kill his family. The junkies killed his family. It's that kind of thing. Yeah, Ender's Game is a great example of that, Killboss. I agree.
For a long time, the dark presence had been weak. Sleeping. Nothing but a half-forgotten nightmare or a shadowy flicker in the corner of an eye in the forest at night. Not real enough to properly exist, and yet too evocative to fade away completely. Now it was waking up. The rider like a fly caught in a spider's web, each jerk and kick vibrating the strands that led deep into its lair. It was aware of him now, and it could use him. All he'd need was a little incentive.
And this is the case in point of the whole situation. Literally an eldritch entity is working its will through him. So, yeah, we get it. This is a nightmare-only one, because obviously we don't want to foreshadow what's going on with the Dark Presence this early in the game. The moral of the story is Alan Wake's a tweaker. Let's just go with that, Minor. Ah, shit. I might take some damage here. Unless I can juggle this guy a little bit more. Nah, I got it. No, he does have substance abuse issues because he is an alcoholic. Well, I don't know if they say he's an alcoholic, but he has alcohol addiction issues. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've done my research on the Bob's Bottles video, but I think clinically alcoholism is more of a like a biochemical issue versus just a emotional abuse issue. Okay. But I had to review my notes on that. Because, like, with alcohol abuse, it can be just an emotional, maladaptive coping strategy versus a medical issue where you literally need to consume it. Like a literal biological addiction, or a biochemical addiction. So I think for him, it's more of an emotional, maladaptive coping strategy. Okay, we got number 2, so let's go see what Cynthia left for us. Alright, so this is going to be number 2, hidden cache on page 50. And that's going to be here. Alright, we cannot hold a torch to light another's path without brightening our own. We watch your progress and pray for your safe passage into the well-lit room to help you accept this gift stowed away in the shack above the second timber yard. Now, I think I have the author of that quote. It's not on my normal set of notes. Presentation, new stream notes, final, regular notes. Okay, give me a second. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, hidden caches. Where's the hidden caches? For some reason, I didn't print this out, so I apologize. So this is a quote by Ben Sweetland. Okay. Whoa, Draco, what's up, good sir? Okay. It's gonna be hidden cache. And other little lore detail for this spot right here is apparently this is this is part of Biltmore's logging camp, and this is the second lumberyard. But this is one of Hubert Biltmore's original buildings in the area, and it is historically protected. There have been claims around town that there is graffiti all over it, but none of them have been observed. And they're probably referring to all of these paintings that Cynthia left up. So when they say, oh, there's graffiti all over this...
They're taken.
There's graffiti all over this protected monument, but no one can see them. And this would imply there are individuals who live in this town who have been touched by darkness and saved by light other than Cynthia. Because only they can see... Because only someone who's been touched by darkness and saved by light are able to see this paint. So there are apparently others that we're unaware of. Yeah, but I don't think the torchbearers would really remark on that, Marama. Because they know what's going on in this town. Zoe, what are you doing? Oh, you chirping at me now? Yeah, the Historical Society allowed it to fall into ruin, which kind of sucks.
The staircase was broken. I had to make my way up some other way.
Yeah, the Torchbearers are interesting, and we will learn more about them in this game. Not just in terms of the members of the Torchbearers, but also possibly something about their very nature. But that will be another conversation for much later in the story. Uh-oh. Coffee thermos. You know what that means. Come on, Zoe. Come on, Zoe. I know you're chirping at me. Alrighty, so that's going to be this one right here. This easily overlooked far corner of the timber yard holds a thermos. Surveillance indicate Wake realized his inventory must be getting full by now, but he brought his sport coat for its copious pockets, not to win any fashion awards. So even this guy is just like, how is he carrying all of these? And he's just putting them in all of his big pockets. I don't think that's how that works, buddy. Let's be perfectly honest, that is not at all how that works. We actually, we directly see all the members of the Torchbearers. Well, we will throughout this run through. They're not in the game, but we will see them. Dun dun. Yes, they are definitely supposed to be the Bookhouse Boys, Too Tall Tony. Like, even though I haven't gotten too far into Twin Peaks, I only remember, like, the first 2 or 3 episodes, but I know enough of the story simply because through osmosis and studying the Remedyverse for too long, you kind of just learn stuff by accident. And again, Biltmore Logging Company. Does that mean Alan's tweed jacket is an object of power? Yes. Let's just go with that. Yes.
I heard them before I saw them, swooping down from the sky and screeching as they came. I spun around just as the cloud was upon me. For an instant, I stared into 100 dead eyes, black pearls glittering in the darkness. I raised the flashlight and the swarm exploded like fireworks. Feathers burned, turned into ash. I couldn't hear my scream above theirs.
So does anyone else hear the term black pearls and immediately think the hiss chant? Black pearls and red in the eyes? Orange peel? Like, I just don't know why. Like, I immediately... that term just immediately makes me think the hiss chant. Which is funny because according to... I think it's Alan Wake 2? Or maybe it's something... No, it was the AWE DLC of Control. They do mention that essentially what they happened is they took a bunch of random words, tore them up, threw them into a box, and then he pulled them out of the box and just laid them out, and that's how he made the poem. Literally, it was just random phrases thrown together based upon nonsense. Oh, trust me, Trailblazer, the rum is not gone in this house right now. So it's possible he tore up part of the departure manuscript, and the Black Pearls line just fell out from this manuscript page. Yeah, they called it a Dadaist poem. There's also Blackout poetry in that game, which it feels like the dark poem that supposedly Tom the filmmaker put in. It feels like Blackout poetry stealing words from Alan's work. But we'll talk more about that when we get to our replay of Alan Wake 2, so we're far ways away from that, trust me. Okay. Alright, you guys ready for our next Can Pyramid lore? Boom. Alright, so Can Pyramid number 2 is on page 51. Ka-ching. They're up by Biltmore's old lumber yard, the second one, just after the waterfall, on the table near the stairs I broke. So apparently, the reason why the staircase here is broken and Alan has to go through the whole thing is because Mott decided to break them. That's gonna keep him guessing. He's just being a petty little bitch. Literally, Mott is just being a petty little bitch. Because normally, you would just be able to walk... Alan could have just walked straight up these stairs, instead of going through all that nonsense, but Mott decided to be a dick. Anyways. No, Flarouche, that wouldn't be Blackout poetry. So basically what Blackout poetry is you take a piece of any kind of written piece of paper. You can look at like a scientific journal. It doesn't really matter what the source material is. And you grab a Sharpie and basically black out everything except the words you want to keep. So you can only use words and phrases that are already in it, and you choose, and it has to be in order. As you read through it, you black out every other word you don't want to do. So, for example, my notes here say, building above second lumber yard is an original Biltmore building. I can say, building second yard original. Now, that doesn't make any sense, but it's done in order, and I'm just blacking it out as I go.
Well, I was just outside for a breath of fresh air, and what a night. I know most of you are probably in your beds by now, but if you're still up and around, take a moment. Step outside for a spell and breathe in deep. The weather is absolutely still. The sky is crystal clear. It's like the forest is quietly breathing along with you. As you listeners know, I'm a night owl, and it's on nights like this I wish I wasn't cooped up in the studio. Makes an old man like me wish I could just roam wild. But here I am, and who'd keep you company all night long if I weren't? It looks like I'm not the only one staying up late. Caller, you're on the air.
Hey, Pat, it's Maurice Horton.
Hello, Maurice. What are you up to?
Well, I was just taking Toby on his walkies.
Oh, isn't it beautiful out there?
Sure, but Pat, the reason I called is that Toby heard something ruffling in the undergrowth and took off after it, and I couldn't find it.
Probably a rabbit.
Sure. Toby loves rabbits.
Well, sure.
Anyway, I figured that, if anyone runs into Toby, they could grab him. My number's on his collar.
And Toby's a friendly dog?
Toby loves people. Usually he comes back, but we were pretty far from home, and it sounds like he went pretty wild there. Great dog, but just too dumb for his own good.
Well, Maurice, it's out there now. Hope Toby comes home soon.
Yeah, thanks, Pat.
You have a good night now.
Okay. Now we have two more pieces of thing here. So the song here is called Up Jumped the Devil by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. And basically the lyrics recount the life of a man whose entire life was marked by tragedy. I was born on the day my poor mother died. So he killed his mother in childbirth. Basically, every step of his life was just nothing but horrible situations. And it's basically his interpretation is that he was marked by the devil himself before he was even born, and the devil followed him throughout his entire life. So if we're talking about the devil and Scratch, who knows? He staked his claim on me. But we also got another little thing. Okay, so every radio broadcast we get does show some other things going on. Where is it? This should be on page 51, I think? Or on page 52? There it is, right here. Alright, so remember that there's some guys, some technicians that work for KBFM that are running around to all these locations and testing the radio signals. So we're going to go ahead and do this. Pat's coming in loud and clear. Great signal up at the hut on the far side of the second logging camp. Okay, so there's no interferences with the radio signals. There's not a lot of lore that goes on here, but we'll check in on that just because it's there. Uh-oh, we got another hidden cache. All the low respect to the creators and respect for Dean for doing this. Hey, you got it. I'm just glad to be able to present all this stuff. I've literally spent 2 months getting ready for this and just going and poring over everything I could read. And collecting this and trying to make like a logical, like a very cohesive, linear way to present it all. Okay, hidden cache number 3, page 53. Let's do this. Okay. There we are, number 3. Lethargies are to be laid in the light and exposed to the rays of the sun, for the disease is gloom. This chest is hidden well close to Old Man Biltmore's jalopy, close to Biltmore's second lumberyard. Alright, and in regards to that quote, this is... Oh, geez. This is a quote from Aretaeus of Cappadocia. Who was that? I forgot who it was. I think it was like a Roman philosopher. Aretaeus of Cappadocia. Dacia, yeah. Is one of the celebrated ancient Greek physicians. Okay, so he's a Greek physician. Okay. Let me head on back in. Zoe, your tail does not belong on the microphone.
At first, I kept finding the pages as if by accident. The book I couldn't remember was either a terrible and true prophecy, or an act of creation that had rewritten the world. I began to hunt the pages feverishly, for they held the answer to the mystery. With it, I could save myself. With it, I could save Alice.
Okay, so this is our first kind of pseudo-confirmation about what these pages are in the context of the story.
The gas station was closer now, its light welcoming in the darkness.
Oh, trust me, Cynthia's very well versed with literature, as we'll see, Melissa.
Belly burster is the best with no coat. Monster dog is second best. The famous dog is...
I really want a belly burster dog, just saying. Alright, coffee thermos. Time for some coffee lore. Alright, so that is thermos number 10, and that's going to be on page 53. Thermos number 10, here we go. Thirst-quenching or thought-provoking. The same type of coffee thermos was appearing on Wake's travels with alarming regularity. This one was nestled in the craggy corner of the outcrop overlooking the third logging camp, just over the ridge from the second. Hey, Vermin Mead, thank you so much for the donation. You're awesome. Seriously, thank you. I really much appreciate it. Hope your day is going well. Okay, Zoe, please don't knock over my water. I don't need my water knocked over. Yes, so we are playing on Nightmare difficulty Rogue just to get all the manuscripts. And for bragging rights. Okay, so we got thermos number 10. Behind the rock of the generator lights. Okay. Let's head on in. Yeah, Saga is definitely not fictional. She's just a co-opted individual. Because again, it's very, very clear, and even the Sam's commentary on the remastered version of this game, if you do listen to the developer commentary, he confirms that, yeah, you can't create something out of nothing. That's just not how any of this works. Where'd the other one go? Where did he go? Did he fall? I think he fell off the cliff. That's fine. I am not going to argue. Okay, coffee thermos number 11. Let's go get back in the light real quick before we pay attention. Oh, there he is. Go away. Stop. Okay, let's just hang out here for a second. Boom. Okay, let's head on back over page 53 for the next coffee lore, which is the same one right here. Okay. Another coffee thermos. Wait, did I switch over? I didn't. Hold on. This is better. Another coffee thermos. This one behind the rocks on the promontory in the woods between the second and third logging camp. We've ruled out hunters, hikers, and deer fest revelers, but I'll be damned if I can figure out who's leaving these behind. So he's trying to, like, this dude is literally just trying to figure out, why is these coffee thermoses here? It's kind of like us as the gamer, we're just like, okay, why is this a collectible? What's the purpose behind it? I don't know. We don't know. He doesn't know. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, essentially how it works is Alan doesn't create things from nothing. He has a connection through his dreams to the dark place, which exists outside of time, and it is the origin point of all inspiration. So in essence, he can view past, present, and future through his dreams, literally. That's his kind of per-utilitarian slash, if you want to use Stephen King terms, shining ability. Now, he doesn't know that this is what he's doing, so he uses that as inspiration to just write his own stories. Now, once he starts working in the dark place to change reality, what he does is he witnesses things that are already happening in the future, and goes, oh, that character right there, I can use that character, but I just have to nudge them into a certain direction. And the mechanism in which Alan does that nudging is more expanded upon in American Nightmare. So we'll discuss that full mechanism a little bit later. But it's more you just change kind of minor things, and it forces people to do into different directions. Oh, you guys are like right there. Okay, keep on going, and there we go. Okay, we good. Oh, I thought I heard someone running behind me.
I stepped into the gas station's garage. It was dark and quiet. The place was a mess. It looked like someone trashed the place, or that there'd been some kind of fight. Light spilled into the room through an open door at the back, and I made my way toward it. Without any warning, I was blinded by a bright light. An old portable TV on the shelf had come alive by itself. Impossibly, I could see myself on the screen, talking like a madman.
And this is just foreshadowing for what's coming up. Coolin, do you think Alan can witness past, present, and future too, or were that just echoes of the loops in the dark place? I mean, that's really semantics at the end of the day. Because once a person enters the dark place, they essentially always exist there, even if they physically get out. Because how time works, it's kind of like a version of them is always there in some form or another, because they've existed across all time. So it's really just because it's a source of inspiration. I mean, the best way I think about it is using the idea of chaos, K-H-A-O-S, and not in the context of like, oh, it's chaotic, it's random, but more in terms of it's a state of existence before physical creation. It's a state where all of reality, whether that be matter and energy, exist, but it's not put together yet. It's like a bag of Legos, and only after you put the Legos together to form a building or a structure does it become creation. But before that, it's just disconnected Legos. It's disconnected atoms and energy. And that's kind of the dark place, and it reacts to the mind of the person inside of it to organize that chaos into a physical thing. A lot of mythologies discuss that. Like if you look at Ovid's Metamorphoses, for example, they define that before creation there was chaos, and then the creator intention formed it together. You also have the idea of like the Song of Brahma, if you're looking at the Hindu Vedic. And even if you look at biblical scripture, they talk about the unformed mass, and then God created something from that unformed mass. I think in the Latin for metamorphoses is rudis indigestique mollis nec quicquam nisi pondis years, which roughly translates to a rude and undigested mass of things that are not well put together. And by extension, all past, present, future exists within that chaos state. Hence why anyone who has a tap into that state can see all time, essentially. Okay. Alright, so we got number 4, Hidden Cache. Let's head on over. This is going to be on page 54. The man who comes into the light needs instruments to help him. I place this chest near the logging track within the half circle of boulders near the third timber yard. The FP say they control things, but they're not really powerful enough to do that. They think they can. Oh, Trailblazer, thank you. Funnily enough, this may just be me being a total freaking nerd, but I got a copy of Metamorphoses that's already been translated into English, and I didn't like the translation, so I found it in Latin and did my own translation.
Salad, no. The
And I memorized like the first couple paragraphs of it in Latin while I was doing that. And you get so much more context when you do your own translations rather than rely on someone else to do it for you. Shoot. I think it's like antemare et coelum quotidium omnia. Antemare would be before the ocean, the sea, and the land. Ante terra, ante mole. Yeah, it's something like that. God, it's been like 20 years since I've done that.
The cabin on Cauldron Lake? She asked. The sheriff looked at me suspiciously. The early morning light flooded through the office windows. I would probably never have gotten out of the woods alive without her help. But I couldn't tell her the truth of what I'd faced the previous night. She'd think I was lying or crazy. She'd lock me up, and she wouldn't help me find Alice.
Again, just foreshadowing. Like, a lot of these are intended for those of us who are, it's a first-time playthrough and we're going through the experience of it. I think a downside of how the manuscripts are handled in this game is because it's literally just a one-time only experience, and then after that, you already know the story, so there's really no need to read the manuscripts. At least in kind of like Control and Quantum Break and Alan Wake 2, for example, you're getting extra lore details and you're getting new context on things, versus this one is very simple. It just kind of directs your mind in certain ways as you're trying to interpret what's going on. But again, it only works when you're blind. I am aware of the lore lady Marama. I am aware of lore lady, yes. I love her work. And yeah, this Ama beer here, Wild and Watery, that is only in the remastered version. And this is another example of this game existing after a retcon event, where Alan had to backtrack to get things ready for return, so he altered things in Departure to better act as a foundation for when he gets to return. Because plot holes are not a good thing.
Science. It bestows immortality on those who advance it to elevate all of mankind. Newton, Einstein, Sagan, princes among men. But
I'd say it's more like a second draft. No, not a second draft, but a second edition, Marama. Because you have, and especially in nonfiction, where you do other drafts after the first one is published.
If our lives are already written, it would take a courageous man to change the script. Having called a press conference, Dr. Barclay Colvin is about to demonstrate that very courage.
Okay, so just before we continue on this, Barclay Colvin is a pen name for Michael Moorcock, and he is an author who is very famous for his Eternal Hero series and the idea of multiversal storytelling. He's kind of like the godfather of this type of narrative, which is why the Moorcock Institute is there. And Barclay Colvin is one of his pseudonym and pen names.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, I am Dr. Barclay Colvin, and I'm glad so many of you could join me here at the Moorcock Institute. Tonight, I'm going to give
Not a porno.
practical demonstration of the many worlds interpretation. As you can see, this is a loaded 9mm pistol. It shall be part of a thought experiment. And now, a real experiment, known as a quantum suicide.
Did he say suicide? Is that a real gun? He's kidding, right?
Please, stay calm. There is no risk. Observe what occurs when I place the weapon against my own forehead. Now, you might think this round is merely a dud. Not so. Observe the flower pot. And yet, I myself cannot be harmed with this gun. With each pull of the trigger, two new realities branch off. One in which the weapon didn't fire, and one where it did. With my machine here, I have ensured that this reality is always the former. I have bestowed upon myself quantum immortality. Under no circumstances can this gun kill me.
So wait. What you're saying is that every time you pull the trigger, in another reality, you die?
Yes, of course, but that's completely trivial. There's an infinite number of things that could happen at any moment, and they always do happen somewhere. The point is, this one thing did not happen here.
You're insane, Colvin.
Insane? Insane?
Hey, was this thing supposed to be plugged in? I stumbled on it.
You fools! Gaze upon quantum immortality.
Poor Dr. Colvin, felled by his own hubris or the ignorance of the masses. Perhaps he should have left the crate unopened, the decaying atom unobserved. Curiosity often kills the cat. In Night Springs.
Do. Now I can only... Every time I hear that jingle, I just hear Tim Breaker in the dark place whistling it. Or humming it. So yes, this is confirmed that this episode of Night Springs did inspire Quantum Break. That's 100% already confirmed. Now, what I find cool about this is, yes, he's technically correct, but he never stopped. The only way he thought that the timelines would branch was if the gun misfired. But there's other things that could happen as well, like what just happened. But you also have to think that the other person in the other universe also is having this exact same conversation, and he apparently shot himself, so why can't you be in that position? Like, he never thought in those terms. But anyways, so one thing, again, now that we're talking about Night Springs, we have to keep in mind that, technically speaking, every episode exists in its own universe. Not necessarily exactly how it was portrayed here, but in a very similar way, like in an overlap. There is an overlapped reality with Quantum Suicide, where very similar events did happen. Now, whether this overlap is intended to be with Quantum Break, because let's think about it. Martin Hatch, for example, does have quantum immortality because he can always replace himself with another version of him that didn't die. Remember when he got both shot and or stabbed in the eye in Quantum Break, and then literally within minutes he's back? When Liam Burke and Emily Burke killed him, and boom, he's returned. Because he literally caught himself in this same kind of quantum immortality trick as a shifter. That's besides the point. Now, here's a cool little detail that's in the Alan Wake Illuminated, which is the art book. So apparently there is some cut content in the game where they literally had the Moorcock Institute in Bright Falls. It was a literal location run by physicists, and you could like drive by it or even access it in the original version of the game. And what they were doing, the physicists were doing in the Moorcock Institute, was they had a giant particle accelerator. And they were doing experiments with reality alteration around Bright Falls using a particle accelerator. But again, that was cut from the game, so it never actually happened, and aspects of it just kind of like filtered their way into this Night Springs episode. Hey there, Trent, how you doing? You're now a fan of getting back into Control and Alan Wake. Dude, welcome back into this crazy train. This is probably not going to make anything any better because we're all going down off the deep end. This whole thing. But you have to really think about, because this Night Springs episode exists, technically speaking, there is a universe out there that's connected through the Dark Place where you have a machine that can literally give yourself immortality. Which is kind of scary. No, cat, don't. Cat, don't knock over the water. You know what? Here. Oh. Can't knock over the water if there's no more water in the cup. I win. Yeah, Rez. Like, it was cut from the game, so it isn't actually here. But that was an original story point that they were trying to go with, but they just kind of got rid of it.
Simple and tricky as you might think, it can be dangerous. It requires patience.
Now we're in the third logging yard for Biltmore Incorporated. At this point, I have way too many flare gun ammo, so get out of here. Oh gosh, the cat literally jumped in front of the screen. I can't see what I'm doing. I can't see what I'm doing. Cat.
Stucky's body vanished, leaving behind only a lifetime of nightmares to come.
Wait, did I really
just... I'd reach the lights of the gas station alive.
I just beat him and didn't even realize I shot at him. This is what happens when I can't see the computer screen and literally I'm just firing willy-nilly. Moving on with life. Literally, I got him blind. Zoe, you helped me defeat the boss without being able to see him. You were awesome. High five. Give me a fist bump. Good girl. Yeah, I couldn't tell either, Vest. Alright, let's switch over and take a look at some lore for the Thermos. This is on page 56. Okay, there we go. This coffee thermos was sitting on the caterpillar tracks of the rusting yellow crane in Biltmore's logging yard. The best explanation at the time was this was a warped trail left by Stucky for an inquisitive wake to find before being ambushed. Spent cartridges are everywhere, but no damn body. So yeah, they found all the pistol cartridges or shotgun shells, depending on what weapon you're using. Isn't Quantum Break confirmed non-canon? No. It's not part of the Prime Remedy universe, but it is part of the connected universe. So it does exist, it's just not existing in the same universe that Alan Wake and Control take place in. But it does happen, and ramifications from it do travel outwards. I mean, Tim Breaker is literally just a shifter version of Jack Joyce. But you could argue that the reason Jack Joyce is a shifter is because of what happened in Quantum Break. So the reason that Sheriff Tim Breaker is having his experience is because of what happened in that game directly. And part of what I'm doing with my mostly complete lore series, which we're working on Max Payne 2, putting it together, and after we finish this stream, I'm going to sit down and write the Alan Wake one. But we are making a multiverse map to help piece it all together.
I recognized the parade float I had seen in Bright Falls when I first arrived with Alice.
Because what I find interesting about the announcement, because they did, I think when Sam posted on Twitter, oh yes, Quantum Break is not part of the Remedy is not canon. And then literally an hour later, they posted the image of Sheriff Tim Breaker / Time Breaker. Like literally within an hour of each other. He was screwing with us.
The lights of the gas station felt comforting. At least for a moment. The sane world reasserted itself.
So literally, they're like, oh, Microsoft, it's non-canon, don't worry, don't sue us. And then immediately says, oh, yeah, we're using your character.
Stucky spat on the garage floor and tried to shake the cobwebs from his head. Ever since the couple never showed to pick up the keys, things had been fuzzy. Something, a feeling caught his attention. Stucky looked up and stared as his brain tried in vain to process the horror before him. He stumbled back, knocking over a can of oil. A black pool spread across the floor while he struggled for a brief moment, then let go as the unrelenting darkness engulfed him.
Alright, is anyone else having buffering issues, or is it just Ichiro? Because it looks like everything's good on my end, I just want to make sure it's good on your guys' end. And again, this one is just a foreshadowing and to impress upon us, because we're literally about to see that scene right here. Okay. You still have your white knuckle inspired story to write, and you're doing all this depression keeps getting my way. I'm sorry. Well, you need to handle your... Hey, we got your back, Trailblazer, when it comes to the depression, but I'm sorry for distracting you. So yeah, this is remastered only. It's kind of hard to see here, but it does have an advertisement for the Koskela brothers in terms of their parade floats. Because remember, in Alan Wake 2, the Koskelas had a business where they made parade floats. So when they had the second edition of Departure that Alan wrote before, the universe changed to include this. And again, this is after the retcon event. Okay. Where is it? There it is. Okay. How's my day doing? You know what? It's Friday, so I'm doing wonderful. You're currently 15 minutes behind in the stream. Oh, damn, dude. Okay. Let's switch over. And this one is going to be on page 57, so let's just move on over. More thermos lore. Located on the concrete base of Stucky's gas station, the placement of this coffee thermos may indicate some degree of perverse humor on the part of the antagonist. A prize directly under the light source that paved the way for Wake to murder so many innocents. So the FBI, like, they're investigating, presuming that anybody who died was Rake's fault. Kind of like Nightingale kind of already knows that. But we'll see
I had
if...
to get inside the gas station to find a phone to call for help.
We'll see if the thermos guy actually knows Nightingale. Actually, no. Yeah, I would all... Yeah, yes. Just to comment, Marama and Kulin, about the Koskalas, I would argue that they always existed, yes. They just were not relevant, and maybe they didn't make parade floats. But they were human beings who lived and existed here. And after the retcon event, when Departure or a Return started to become a thing, he made them relevant to this story by including that there. Need help later for a video. I need advice on how to make Yu-Gi-Oh! Lore vids. Yeah, sure, dude. I'll help you out. Just DM me as soon as the stream's done, and I'll let me know what you need to do. I'll help you out. Hold on, I don't want to deal with this right now. Good. Okay, so now let's stop and look at the thermos lore. And it's right below us. Was this simply the quenchable provisions of a disappeared logger? No, the same coffee thermos kept appearing. This one bearing the same Oh Dear Diner markings as all the rest. We'll wait until Rose Marigold comes back to work. She's missed a few shifts recently. Again, this is after she was touched by the Dark Presence and she kind of had her mental breakdown, so obviously she hasn't been at work. And we actually do know who took over her shifts at the diner. There's a lady who's also a photographer who took over for her at that point in time. Oh yeah, James. Draco's really into Yu-Gi-Oh! Lore. You should check out. He does streams, what, every Tuesday and Thursday? Right, Draco? I think you're playing through some Ratchet & Clank stuff at the moment. I don't want to deal with you. Dude, I already got rid of you, dildo. Get out of here. Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 10 night Eastern Standard Time. Yep, there you go. New theory, whole town has the same thermos and everyone's really bad at keeping track of them. Well, remember, there was, back in 1981 when they were having the party to try to save the Cape Campbell Bridge, and they were trying to, like, gather funds to rebuild it. One of the games that was being played with the children was Find the Thermos, where they literally did, like, a scavenger hunt where they hid coffee thermoses all over the region and let the kids try to find them for, like, prizes and stuff like that. which I find very interesting considering what we're doing here. What might be a Mulholland Drive reference for LaRouge? I've actually never seen it. I haven't seen a lot of Lynch's films. Actually, I don't think I've seen any of Lynch's films, which is very weird considering I cover the Remedyverse like this.
Toby knew the smell. It was the man. The nice man who always gave him treats and never got tired of playing with him. Toby wagged his tail in excited anticipation and gave a joyous bark. Then there was another smell. A wrong smell. And it was alien enough to stop Toby in his tracks. Confused, he growled deep in his throat. The wrong smell came from the nice man. Blind animal terror pierced the dog's brain an instant before the axe followed suit.
Should we tell Maurice? Rip Toby. The dark presence literally killed a dog just now. Yes, Marama. I didn't know there was one here right now, but I do know that they have an advertisement for the Witch's Ladle later in the game as well. But, you know, let's just backtrack and take a look at it. So yes, so we do have an advertisement for the Witch's Ladle, which is a set piece in the second game. Again, this was not here in the original. I think it was really like a Verizon advertisement. No, it was an Energizer. It was an Energizer battery advertisement, and then when they brought it to Steam, they changed it to a Verizon one because Energizer got pissed at Remedy. Like, they paid to have their product in the game, but the batteries die so quickly, it was kind of like implied that, oh, Energizer doesn't last very long. So they were just like, you know what? We're not allowing you to do this anymore. And then they threw in Verizon, and then for the remastered, they threw this in. The dark presence is not redeemable. It killed a dog. Yes. And that is exactly why Alan Wake 2 is... Or... Do you guys remember when Alan Wake 2 trailer came out and everyone thought it was just John Wick? Well, this is John Wick because they killed Toby. The rest of the game. Alright, so this area back here, I'm not going to walk all the way down there because it spawns another mob of Taken. But one of the big rigs fell over and blocked this road. Right there. Okay. Let's head on in. And hold on, I gotta switch to the next page of my notes. Okay, so I have a note here. I don't remember what I was thinking about. Oh, actually, let's walk inside first. So I did mention that I was going to look at the breaker symbol, but for some reason the apple orchard symbol is not here on the advertisement, so sorry about that.
The garage was a mess. It looked like someone had trashed the place, or that there'd been some kind of fight.
All right. I'll keep writing. Outside, there's only darkness. Outside the cabin, outside the story, there's only darkness. I can feel her presence in the dark. Just now, I could smell her perfume in the room. I'll reach her. I'll fix it up. I'll bring her back. The story will come true. If I stop, she's lost.
I don't believe this. It'd been me on the TV, talking crazy. Was I losing my mind?
Alright. So I got a couple things here first, but then I'm going to tell you guys something that's going to blow you away if we consider it canonical. If. And I consider it semi-canonical, but regardless, it'll make you lose your flipping shit. Alright. So first, in the original developer commentary, they compare the Writer in the Cabin episodes, which that's what we're going to call these, the Writer in the Cabin, is very similar to Cynthia Weaver receiving communications from Zane, or Tom the Poet, as I refer to him, through the television sets. And we got that one right there. But I have two quick things I got to show you in the survival guide. So 1 second. Okay, so where are we? That's the gasoline station. We back up. Alright, so every time that we have a TV set play, we get a Teletimes, which is a British, I don't know if it's a magazine or newspaper or something like that, but they have TV listings. So back in the day when we just had cable, we had TV listings to tell you what was going to be playing that day. So you had to open up listing just to be able to know what's on, because you didn't have schedule on the internet or anything like that. So apparently they were doing a rerun of the Night Springs episode, and the Quantum Suicide was played on 1st of March 1994. And this is a brand new episode of Night Springs, the Quantum Suicide. Tonight we watched from a small shed outside of the Timber Yard, number 3. Yeah, it's a TV guide. So we know that this is a rerun, and it was playing in 1994. The reason why we know it's a rerun is because Alan was a staff writer on the show, and he was born in, 1979? So he would have been, 15 years old at the time of this episode being released, so he probably wasn't involved in this run of the episodes. He was probably involved later in maybe like a new season in the early 2000s or something. That would make sense to me. But a lot of these episodes make it seem like he wasn't involved, because again, he was 15 years old at the time. Okay, but there's also one for the Rider in the Cabin videos. Okay, so a brand new avant-garde information show, beaming directly into the consciousness of Alan Wake, now showing on the television inside Stucky's garage. All of these Rider in the Cabin episodes that Alan's finding aired on television before they actually happened. Almost like these recordings literally got blasted. I wouldn't say blasted back in time, but however they got aired, the Dark Place was involved because of how non-linear. Okay, so Flarouge, I will say that this is an error, because all the other Rider in the Cabin episodes aired in 2004. Every single one of them. So I think whoever the editor is messed up and accidentally put 1994, because all of the rest of them are in September of 2004. And remember, the author, and this is a British TV guide, the author of the survival guide is David Hodgson, who grew up in Edinburgh. So they said that he became aware of Alan in 2005 when he started having dreams about him and then started writing the survival guide. So if they aired these Rider in the Cabin episodes in 2004, which is what it should be, he could have become aware of them maybe like a few months later in 2005 and then started working on it. Now, again, this is... You can't really say this is 100% canon, but it could work. Let's put this as a possibility, but who knows? And one other cool little detail is this aired at 8:10, and then we have the 9 o'clock news, a weatherman by the name of Tom Rivers. Of course, the surname has to be Rivers, because all of our Sam Lake stand-ins all have last name dealing with that. But weirdly enough, there actually is a weatherman by the name of Tom Rivers from New York back in the day. It was a real-life dude. So I don't know if they're referencing a pseudonym for Sam or if they're talking about the real Sam Rivers. But again, this is supposed to be a British broadcast, not a New York broadcast. Whatever. Whatever. Let's just move back into the game now. Yeah, the survival guy's wild. He does the craziest shit. Oh, sorry. Before we go inside there, I did forget to do this. Oh, wait, no. It's not. It's actually in here. I lied. Okay, the 68th Annual Deer Fest, September 15th to the 18th. Games and activities, raffle tickets, fishing competition, pie contests, and surprise competitions, live music. For the children, Bucktooth Charlie in the afternoons, and Montgomery the Mystic's amazing Phasmagoria evenings. Don't miss the legendary Deer Fest parade. This is a very random connection, and I don't think there's anything lore-wise that connects it, but I've never heard the term Phantasmagoria before this, and then we hear it again On America Overnight in Control, the FBC-controlled radio broadcast, they do mention a phantasmagorial phenomenon is one of the things that they study on that late-night talk show. Now, it just seems weird to have the same word used. Granted, it's Remedy writers. They probably have the same diction. But who knows? You could argue that whoever wrote both of these signs is the same author using the same diction, but again, that's like going on a really strong leap. So who freaking knows? Okay, one last little detail here before we finish off the episode, because we're almost done with episode 1. Finally. But in the novelization of the game, for whatever reason, they actually explain why Alan does not have his firearms when Sarah Breaker picks him up. Because remember, he's about to call the sheriff, Sarah's about to pick him up, and then the episode ends. But he doesn't have his pistol on him. So in the novel, what he does is he hides the pistol and all the ammunition somewhere inside the shop. And then later, he comes and picks them back up before going to the ranger station. And that's just like an in-universe explanation of why he doesn't have it. So, you know what? I'll accept it.
Oh, thank God, Sheriff.
Sheriff Sarah Breaker. You are...
I'm Alan Wake, but listen. I was in a car crash. My wife, Alice, she's missing.
Calm down, Mr. Wake.
We were staying in a cabin on the island, on Cauldron Lake.
There's no island on Cauldron Lake. Not since the big eruption in the 70s.
Please, I can take you there, okay?
You look like you've taken a pretty bad knock to the head. Are you okay?
Listen.
We'll figure this out. Please get in the car. We'll swing by the lake and then we'll go to the station, okay? Mr. Wake, have you seen Stucky, the guy who owns this place?
I realized I couldn't tell her what had happened in the forest. She wouldn't have believed me. And then she wouldn't have helped me with Alice.
You could argue that Odin, that the idea of quantum immortality is like a video game save state where you restart after you die. Yeah, you could argue that. I gotta talk over this so we don't get a copyright, so let's just pause there. Again, that's just Roy Orson's and Dreams, which we already established is, the lyrics are just about how he only sees his love when he's in his dreams, which Alice disappeared, Alan only sees it. Same thing. Foreshadowing. Anyways. Alright guys, so I'm going to pause here real quick. We're not done for the night, but I need to go make some tea. I need to go brew some tea, so I'm going to put you guys on BRB real quick while I heat that up, because my throat is getting a little weird. And I'll be right back. Alright, and I am back. So, I'm just doing some chamomile with some honey. It's just to relax my throat. And I saw you guys talking that it's heresy that I'm not drinking coffee and I'm a dirty tea drinker, as Rose would put it. Or, sorry, the waitress would put it. Because Rose never said that, the waitress said that. Anyways. And I want to say this in reverse of this quote. But there was I always remember this because I find it freaking hysterical because of the whole tea versus coffee debate. When they're calling Giles out for drinking coffee, they're like, what? Why are you drinking coffee? He's like, no, tea is soothing. I wish to be tense. And I'm the opposite. I don't want to be tense. I want to be soothed. I want to be soothing right now. And yes, that means I do memorize random quotes from Buffy, but that's besides the point. Anyways. And there was, God, I forgot to do it. There was a joke I was going to make when we were looking at the Quantum Suicide episode in the Moorcock Institute. And we made the joke about the, it's not a porno. It's actually Max Heat. I think there's a film in the Max Heat universe that has to do with the Moorcock Institute. Just saying. Alrighties. You guys ready for episode 2? Let's go ahead and do this. Skip.
Previously on Alan Wake. I came to Bright Falls with my wife, Alice.
Thank you for coming here with me. I thought maybe you could write here.
I don't want to hear it. God damn it, Alice.
Now, she's missing.
Alice? Alice?
That is true. There is a Buffy Easter egg in Max Payne 1,
behind the wheel
so
of a
it makes
crashed
sense.
car. I'm missing a week. I was attacked by shadowy men straight from a nightmare. The sheriff took me to the lake Alice and I had stayed at, but the cabin had disappeared.
Honey, I'm home.
Back here, sweetie. How was it?
Worst weather I've ever seen.
You should put some coffee on. It'll warm you up.
Hey, handsome. This is gonna be a long night, but these shots are turning out great.
I guess you're gonna need that coffee then. I'll go put it on.
Alright, so this definitely takes place before Sudden Stop was released, because I want to say it's 2008 is when Sudden Stop was published, and takes place in 2007. Zoe, she wanted to go outside the room, and now she's begging to come back inside the room after literally 2 minutes. There's a discrepancy between the apartment and Parliament Tower apartments due to the poor recall on Alan's part. Well, this isn't Parliament. Parliament Tower is where I believe Alice is staying in the sequel, but there's no confirmation that it's the same apartment. It could literally just be she got a new apartment afterwards. Okay, Zoe. Okay, sorry. I had to let Her Highness back in. Yes, I'm going to check the fridge paper. We are going to be looking around. We are going to be looking around. Because I might have a note about it here, and I'm just misremembering things. First and foremost, according to the survival guide, Alice just got finished remodeling this apartment. Including having, in the bathroom, heated floor tiles so that you can walk around barefoot and it's nice and warm. But also, these are heated towel holders. So it's just like nice and toasty when you get out of it, rather than, who knows. I've actually had to install heated floor tiles before, because for those of you who aren't aware, I talk about it all the time. For those who are unaware, I do work for general contractors, so I have done weird stuff like that for fancy customers. Okay. So he mentions the worst winter storm. Of course, this is literally just the Thimble Winter situation, just like Max had to go through a bad winter storm.
The continuing freezing rain and heavy snowfall have necessitated a winter storm warning in the entire tri-state area. People are advised to stay indoors, as many roadways are already closed, and city officials are not expecting snow crews to keep up with the weather. We're now on the 3rd day of the blizzard, and the weather is not expected to clear up anytime soon.
Day 3. Yes, it is day 3 of the winter storm. Okay. Sorry, I'm stirring up the gain of audio a little bit more. Zoe, I can't see the screen. No. So Max and Casey going around killing gangs? No, Max does not exist in this universe, and Casey does not either. I do have a hypothesis of what they could have done differently in Alan Wake 2, which I think would be a more fun way to handle something, but we will discuss that later. Alright, so right here we have a shoebox full of Thomas Zane's poetry in Alan's bedroom closet. Here's the deal. This is not here in the original game. This was an addition thrown in only for the remaster of the game. Which means that Alan felt it was important in his second edition of Departure to make this subtle change where he throws Zane's books here. So the question is, why did Alan think it was important to make it here? Because before he got to, like, in the game itself, Alan mentions when he first saw this in Bird's Leg Cabin, he doesn't know who that is. He says, oh, it's a poem, it's a shoebox full of poetry by Thomas Zane. I've never heard of him before. But in the flashback, there's a closet full of Zane's poetry, which is a direct contradiction to what he said earlier on in this playthrough. Zoe, stop. Don't step on the keyboard. Don't step on the keyboard, sweetheart. So this makes absolutely zero sense. Now, the only thing I can figure is that by putting this here and retconning the fact that he knew Zane beforehand, it makes Zane more of a fictional... Like, no, because that wouldn't be the case, because that makes him more real, technically. Because that means it was here prior. So yeah, Alan intentionally added a paradox here, and I don't know why. But there's no reason to have retroactive information about Tom's poetry. Because if we say that Tom the poet existed, or at least his poetry existed only in the cabin, you still have the Dark Place shenanigans where you can argue, oh, it never happened. But if you have the poetry here, that means it exists outside of that. It's just like, it doesn't make sense. Sure, it was Alan who did this. I mean, that is a good point. That is a good point, Flarouche. I mean, one thing that happened in Alan Wake 2, essentially, is that you had two, arguably 3 different artists fighting for control over the story. So you could... It is reasonable to... it's feasible that another artist is having some degree of influence in the Departure manuscript right now, which is what we're witnessing as we speak. Now, another cool little detail, which this is just me maybe making a mountain out of molehill, but of course we got all of his books on here. Most of these are self-help books. So we have, I looked through as many as I could, so we have a thing called The Human Island, The Newton Principle, Choose and Contemplate, Peak, Toughness, Conspiracy of Faith, Creativity, The Mom's Survival Guide, Good Father, Bad Father, Farewell to Sanity, Web Metrics, The Within Side, Newton Principle, which I already said that. Say It With Your Eyes Only, Medicated to Hate, and Black Lace White Ties. So we see some self-help books which may have to do with his writer's block, but that doesn't make sense here. Now, anytime you see books set up in the game universe when you're playing the main thing, it's these exact same models. Now, most likely that's just Remedy being lazy with... They're not going to change all of their book models everywhere in the game. They just made a series of them and just reused them, the assets, throughout the entire game. But if you want to get weird about it, you can make the argument that since Alan is crafting some of the details of the world, he's just remembering the books that he had in his personal library and projecting them onto every bookstore he sees, every bookshelf he sees throughout the game. It's implied Alice is the one reading the self-help books, as she's the one who read the Courageous Dilemma. I mean, she probably has. Who knows? And it looks like they got a new TV set. Nice. Like, you can't read in a dream because your brain jumbles the words. Yeah, he's a little... Because if you argue that the events of the games are kind of like a dream projected on reality, he's literally just misremembering things from his own history and projecting them on there. Oh, yeah, so this... Okay, confirmed, yes, this is Parliament Tower. Because this note basically says... I do have a note here. It says, a note on the fridge starting that Parliament Tower management team will need access to the unit in order to replace the duct air filters. Now, as a contractor, I would say, why does the building management have to replace the return air filters? I mean, those are stupidly easy to replace. You just go down to the hardware store, buy a $12 filter, you open it, pull it, put it in, and you're done. Is the note in the original or the remaster? I have a note here to double check that, and I don't think I did. I don't think I did double check this. Okay, so Morama, you're saying this is only in the remaster. Okay, let me write that down real quick, actually. Because I have a Word file here just for additional notes. Okay, so Parliament. Parliament Tower note on fridge in flashback. Okay, so this is supposed to establish a consistency between return and departure. Makes sense. Don't worry, Kilbasa. I do have the original on Steam, so I can double check after stream ends. This is the beginning of the chapter, so it doesn't really matter.
Coffee's on.
Great, thanks. I'll need it if I'm gonna finish this by tomorrow.
And there's his tweed jacket.
Oh, hey, I just finished those cover mock-ups. They're on your desk. Tell me what you think.
No kidding. I didn't think you'd get them done this quickly.
On occasion, I can perform all sorts of miracles, my dear.
Oh, really?
Well, you seemed to think so last night.
Giggity. All right. So this is a theory, and I wanted to run it by you guys, but I'm curious if everyone is of the opinion that the Upper East Side Apartments in Max Payne 2 is supposed to be an echo of Parliament Tower. Because the whole thing with the Upper East Side Apartments, it's the building where all the affluent members of the Inner Circle resided in. Don't know. Okay, so now we got our next thermos. And that is going to be on page 60. So let's switch on over to page 60. Chronologically, this is the first mention of the coffee thermoses in Alice's office in their Manhattan apartment by Wake in his texts. The FBI shrink reckons Wake could have projected this as a subconscious image during his altered states. I'm not buying it. We don't really know how that got there. And again, why is this FBI agent randomly in New York in Alan's apartment? And how does he know this is here? I mean, if the scope of his investigation was in Bright Falls, why would he randomly have knowledge of a thermos appearing in a altered cognitive state, a memory flashback in another state on the opposite side of the country? Doesn't make too much sense, right? Like Max Payne reading the diary of his drug dreams, right? Psychic-like saga. There is a pseudo-explanation, but we'll talk about that later. He fell into the Cauldron Lake and is doing his time. He's maybe the cop has some Valkyr. Dude, no shit. Alright, so we got the QR code here, which again, we're not going to be looking at these, because these, in the remastered, trigger back to the visions that are lead up to Alan Wake 2, and this stream is only about Alan Wake 1, so it's kind of pointless. But in the original, it links out to just a phrase saying, huh, turns out this isn't too bad even if you're not sitting on a couch when you play it. Who knew? So they're just talking about the difference between console gaming and PC gaming. Alrighty, so we have all these books here. The Fall of Casey, The Fall of Max Payne for the second game. The Things That I Want, which is a quote that Max does say when he and Mona Sachs are having their little intimate exchange before Vladimir Lem's people show up. Alex Casey, which is the first book in the series. What I Can't Forget. As far as I can tell, that is not a quote, but I need to go back and double check the Max Payne script. And then Return to Sender is a reference to Address Unknown, because for some reason a marathon being played on the television set throughout Max Payne 2 is called the Return to Sender Marathon. But what that has to do with anything, who knows? But that being said, we do actually have a section of Return to Sender in the Alan Wake files. Did I say to read it here? Not yet. So eventually we will read that. We will read the first chapter of Return to Sender. And we have the dual Berettas, which is Max's weapon. Makes perfect sense. Yeah, this is Alan's story.
It's true what they say about the fall and the sudden stop at the end. I'd lain here in the snow while the lurid chain of scenes that had led me here kept playing in my head. A rerun of my own private snuff movie. A memory of my corpse. Alone at my own wake. Thinking in metaphors again. The femme fatale was gone. Only a sour taste remained of the kiss that killed me. This was a late goodbye. 13 years after I'd gotten my revenge, it had finally caught up with me. It had been a long time to bear the pain. My blood painted the snow red. A gruesome slushy dissolved all the scattered painkillers and leisurely dripped down to the sewer, mingling with the bile of the city, becoming one with it. I can see them now, my wife and my baby. Honey, I'm home.
Okay, everyone. Raise your glasses, whatever you have on you, to our fallen brethren, James McCaffrey. Hope you're resting well, buddy. Alrighties. So, I don't recall if this was in the novel or the survival guide, because I didn't write it down in my notes, but I remember reading it. Supposedly, these pages were from the beginning of the book. So the book started in media res, where they showed his death scene at the start, and then they backtracked and just told the whole story leading up to it. Which, it's an interesting choice to telegraph at the very beginning that you're going to kill the character off. Because I don't know what that's going to do. But again, that's if we take that seriously. Now, I take it back. We are actually gonna read some Alex Casey books right now. I have just came across my note. Alan Wake Files, read the Return to Sender excerpt. So, let's go ahead and do that. So there we are on the Alan Wake Files. We're going to be reading some of his book. And this is going to be on page 74. All right. Oh god, this is gonna hurt my throat because this is literally the entire first chapter of the book. Okay, the third novel in Alex Casey's crime series, Return to Sender. Remember, this is Clay Stewart writing all this. Is a treasure trove of clues to this author's internal life. In this first chapter, Casey's survival is in question, and he must directly challenge the evil that threatens him. Wish fulfillment on Wake's part, or a strategy for confronting his own personal monsters. And best known, this is what I mentioned earlier, but best known for her iconoclastic photography, Alice Wake also produced commercial design for her husband's book covers. So this is where I got the information that Alice's specialty was iconoclasty, which is the artistic discipline of shattering preconceived or widely held beliefs. Okay. Chapter 1, Light You Up. Oh god, this is gonna hurt. If Anton the Fat Man Dubovic had ever earned a Boy Scout merit badge in fire prevention, I wouldn't be in this mess. If the two sluggos with the Fat Man weren't scared to death of him, one of them might mention that spraying high-octane gasoline around a garage could have unpleasant consequences for all concerned. Everett Krieger, the Sage of Wall Street, is screaming loud and clear about the fire hazard, but since Krieger is currently trussed up and the object of that high-octane drenching, his opinion isn't given much weight by the Fat Man. One spark, one gunshot, and the whole place goes up like a napalm strike. And yes, I agree with Sarah that he uses metaphors way too much. Oh, gosh. Sorry, I'm not going to be able to do my normal narration voice right here because my vocal cords are just not working for me. They're a little too tight right now, so I can't do my normal smooth voice there. So I apologize about that. Not that any of this would mean shit to me, except I'm currently hiding under Krieger's candy apple red Ferrari Testarossa, which has about 7 inches of road clearance, and the gasoline that the Fat Man is hosing down Krieger with is sluicing around the concrete floor of the garage and soaking me down to my boxers. You must understand, Mr. Oh gosh, this is actually starting to hurt. You must understand, Mr. Krieger, said the Fat Man. I'm not a nice person. I heard gasoline spattering onto the concrete as Krieger blubbered. The fumes were making me lightheaded, but nobody seemed to notice. Then again, they had murder on their minds. I bet you will stink when you burn, Mr. Krieger, said the Fat Man. I bet you will stink like the bad barbecue that upsets my tummy. Gasoline is cold, by the way, real shivery stuff, and Krieger's screaming had given me a headache. Plus, the tip of my nose kept grazing the other side of the Ferrari, so that it was raw and sore by now. I was about ready to slide out from under the car, cap the Fat Man and the sluggos, and warm myself on my own burning hair as the whole place whooshed into flames. I didn't do that. Instead, I carefully tilted my head to get a better look at what was happening a few feet away from me, and promised myself the next time I'd exercise better judgment. I won't do that either, of course. But I never learn. Sure, I should have passed on the job when Krieger's daughter showed up last week, but the girl was scared to death. A lot of scared girls out there these days, but she did it better than most, and her being a homely thing kind of won me over, and dragging a kid along to boot hit me my soft spot. All that family money, but Jane Krieger stayed a plain Jane. Now, it feels here like he's a private detective and not an actual... He's a PI not working for the police force at this point in time. Which would definitely make sense. It's how you logically move the character along. Okay, let's scroll down real quick. All that family money, but Jane Krieger stayed a plain Jane. Big, thick glasses and awkward shoes, the way she slumped her shoulders when she talked, made me want to take care of her. She said her father, Wall Street financier Everett Krieger, had gotten involved with some very dangerous men, and she was worried about something happening to him. I know you're too talented for bodyguard work, Mr. Casey. I just want you to keep an eye on Daddy. My father doesn't even have to know you've been hired. He'd probably be upset with me if he found out. Turns out Everett Krieger hadn't just gotten involved in some dangerous men. He'd ripped off the Fat Man, a sweaty psychopath linked to the Russian mob. Anyone who thinks that fat men are jolly has never met Anton Dubovik. The last thing that cracked that fat man up, really gave him a case of the giggles, was that the recording of the 911 call from a woman who had been carjacked in Texas. You've heard it, haven't you? Woman knows she's on her way to a real horror show, but she manages a cell phone call from the trunk of her car connects to a 911 operator who got the hiccups. The woman keeps whispering about being kidnapped, and the 911 operator can't hear her because he keeps hiccuping into the receiver and the cell phone signal is dying. And the woman is panicking, and the 911 operator keeps on hiccuping, saying, pardon me, y'all." A regular laugh riot. They found the woman's body a week later, what was left of her anyway. The Fat Man plays that tape all the time, and it never fails to bring tears to his eyes. He even imitates her voice and the hiccups. Yes, Marama, we do have Errand Boy. We will read. So, before we continue, here's the question. Do you guys want me to read the whole story of Errand Boy? Or, I actually have a audible. It's not really an audible, but we did a fully voice-acted version of Errand Boy. I have a video of it already up on the channel. I was considering literally just playing the video, so you guys can read it with full voice acting. I think that would probably be a lot easier. But that's when we get to that point, because there's some awesome VAs on it, so we'll just do that. Okay, let me see, where were we? And I was considering doing a full, like, audio recording, like a full voice-acted version of this as well, but I just never got around to it. Where was I? So when the Fat Man huffed and puffed his way into Krieger and Associates a year ago, wanting to park $18 million, Krieger should have very politely suggested that Mr. Dubovik would be better served at one of the many other fine investment houses. But he didn't. Instead, Krieger told the Fat Man what he told most of his clients. Expect 10 to 12% annual returns and cash out anytime you feel like it. Things didn't quite work out like that. Krieger's enormous bet against the Australian dollar went south, coupled with a government takeover of the Nigerian oil industry and a crash in the Brazilian bond market. Well, Krieger and Associates had suddenly collapsed like one of those fancy soufflés that Krieger used to jet to Paris to nibble for lunch. Krieger dodged a federal indictment by liquidating all of his assets and offering his client 10 cents on the dollar. Most of his clients settled, but the Fat Man was not interested. The Fat Man had never tipped a waitress or been heard to say, "Keep the change." "I told you I don't have any offshore accounts," pleaded Krieger. He was a handsome, well-maintained aristocrat who struggled helplessly now, hand bound behind his back, his body roped tight to a supporting column of the garage. Gasoline dripped from his perfectly cut gray hair. "Don't you think the feds would have found them by now if I did?" "I should trust Fed dummies," the Fat Man laughed. "Fed dummies cannot find their asses with a GPS." I imagine Krieger once took a certain pride in having his own gasoline pump in the garage. Special blend for the Ferrari might as well have been jet fuel. Perfectly safe. As long as you gassed up the well-ventilated space. But the Fat Man liked his privacy. So the doors to the garage were down, the gas running free, and the fumes in the garage so thick that a bright idea might set the place off. My vantage spot under the car, I could see Krieger's charcoal gray trousers and his socks, cashmere socks with tiny clocks on them. Probably cost $200 a pair, but what do you expect? They're made from the downy wool scrapped off the balls of mountain goats in Tibet. Hold on, I need to get something to drink. Oh, sorry. What time is this? Oh, yeah, we'll probably finish this and get into the sheriff's station and probably call it quits. Because, yeah, my voice is really starting to give out right now. The Fat Man does not wear socks, just slips his 14 Triple D Tootsies. Really? He said Tootsies? Anyways, into a pair of blue corduroy bedroom slippers from Target, thrown on a bathrobe, and off he goes. Felt dummies did not find his secret Fed dummies did not find the secret estate of yours, yes? Said the fat man. Anton, I found it. Anton found it, though. So, now you pay me. I can't pay you. Gasoline gushed against Krieger's necktie, splashing his Armani suit and perfect Windsor knot. How much time do you think Alan spent looking up fancy brands for things? I mean, let's be real. That gets kind of ridiculous. Where was I? Pants lighting. Okay, gasoline ran down from his pant leg as though Krieger had pissed himself. There is no can't, Mr. Krieger, said the fat man. There's only, yes, Anton, here are the numbers to my offshore account, and please forgive me for making you wait. The fat man had a point. The feds hadn't discovered this 100-acre estate in the rolling hills of upstate New York. It probably registered to some shell company that existed only in a Bahamian corporation financing financial footnotes. So give the fat man some credit. I wouldn't have found the place if the terrified Jane Krieger hadn't called me earlier this morning and given me the location. Said she was sure something was going to happen. Finish Sam Lake invoking target is kind of funny to me. Yeah, no shit. Oh boy. Okay. I shifted slightly, saw the two sluggos, a couple of nervous triple XL meat bags in the blue tracksuits, each of them standing on a radial tire to keep their shoes dry, like that's going to save them if the garage blows. The smart thing to do if you want Krieger to give up the information would be to drag him outside, drench him with gas, and there. But maybe the fat man wants to use the safe familiarity of the garage against Krieger, like tucking a guy into his soft, comfy bed and maybe fluffing his pillow before breaking out the vice grips. I'm losing patience, Mr. Krieger, said the fat man, his thinning black hair plastered to his skull. You seem delighted in provoking me. I'm an honest businessman, said Krieger, lower lip quivering. The fat man's tiny eyes glowed as he pulled the gold cigarette lighter from his pocket of his bathrobe. Boss, said one of the sluggos said gently, you really don't want to do that. The fat man held the cigarette lighter in front of Krieger's face. I will light you up like a birthday candle. I swear I'm not trying to whisper, it's just not working. Okay. Sorry, I'm going to take my headphones off for this section. Where was I? Boss, please, said the other sluggo. Krieger goes up and we all go up. He dragged his shoe through the puddled gasoline on the floor. See, boss? Boom. Boom, said the fat man, nodded, pink jowls jiggling in the glare of the overhead fluorescence. Ah, yes, I understand now. He slipped the lighter back into his bathrobe, pulled out a switchblade. This is safe, yes, he said to Krieger. Won't cause a fire. He flicked it open, admiring his reflection in the blade, and I found myself wondering if hippos thought they were beautiful too. Krieger swallowed his Adam's apple, bobbing. The fat man carefully slid the blade into Krieger's right nostril. See? He looked at the sluggos waiting for a moment, then ripped the blade through the side of Krieger's nose. See? No boom. The Krieger howled, lurched against the ropes that bound him to the pillar, blood pouring from his nose. You will give me the numbers of your offshore account now, the fat man said to Krieger. Please, stammered Krieger. The fat man slid the blade into Krieger's other nostril. Wait! Yes, said the fat man, cupping one ear. Did I hear something? Account numbers, Krieger said, his cut nostril flapping with every breath. The account numbers are encrypted. Can't be cracked. You need me alive. Then alive you stay, good fellow, the fat man slowly, gently removed the blade from Krieger's nostril. What are the numbers, Mr. Krieger? I was lying right under the edge of the Ferrari's passenger side now, soaked with gasoline. I hoped that Krieger would direct them to the house, his office, any place where they would have to leave him alone, or at least divide their forces while they confirmed his story. They're under the car, whimpered Krieger. The numbers are a small metal case attached to the underside of the passenger compartment. Great. Just great. I scooted farther back under the car looking for the case. There, a silver case the size of a cell phone. You are certain, said the fat man. I can see the case clearly, stainless steel, secured with 2 spring clips, locked solidly in place, but designed for quick removal when needed. If you are stalling for time, I will lose charming good nature. I think there should be a my there. I will lose my charming good nature, so maybe that's just a mistake. You think I'm stupid, said Krieger, blood bubbling from his nose. You're not going to kill me. You need me, Anton. Get the case. We'll have to go to my office in the city to decrypt the code. I'll transfer the funds into your account tonight. Double your money. The fat man nodded. I believe you, Mr. Krieger. Krieger sagged with relief. No, you are not stupid, said the fat man, looking into his eyes. But I think you are perhaps too trusting of your own uniqueness. He smoothed Krieger's stained white shirt with one hand, then drove the knife into the man's heart with the other. It seems, in fact, Mr. Krieger, that you are not required to decrypt the code, he said, cleaning the blade on Krieger's necktie, as the man's head flopped lifelessly. He slipped the knife back into his bathrobe, turned to the sluggos. Pleased to hit the hydraulic auto lift. I waited until the Ferrari was waist high off the floor before sliding out from under the case. Clutched in one hand, I waved as I scrambled to my feet. Oh, gosh. Hey, fellas, how's it going? Yeah. How hard it would be, guys, if I were to do like an audio recording of this, how difficult do you think it would be to take these lines by Casey and run them through like some kind of AI voice generator with James McCaffrey's voice? Because I would love to see him have this conversation. Hey, fellas, how's it going? It's very Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hello there. No AI. Yeah, no, I never would, trust me. I have very strong opinions about it, but anyways, moving on with life. Okay, let me see. The sluggos reached for their guns before they caught themselves. The fat man just yawned, belted his bathrobe tighter around his enormous frame. Open the garage door and air the place out, idiots, the fat man said to the sluggos. Then you can shoot our uninvited guest. Let me write that down real quick, because, okay, this may be completely nothing, but the uninvited guest was the same phrase used by Thomas Zane when he was referencing the Colonel, who's the British author, where Zane called him the uninvited guest. Hold on. First to Casey as Again, most likely absolutely nothing. I just wanted to make a note of it for later. Where was I? There. He raised his bushy eyebrows to me, half bowed. My sincere apologies. I pulled my own piece out, centered in between his eyes. None needed. Ah, the classic standoff, said the fat man, unperturbed. I feel like one of your American cowboys is at the OK Corral. He pushed out his lower lip. Just us leave the door down, shall we? Gunfire hurts my ears anyways. There's way too many teeth in his smile. I wanted to see your face when they break your neck, my dear cowpoke. Cowpoke? Yeah, it's a pretty common turn of phrase, Melissa. I just... Again, I'm saying like 99.9% it has nothing to do with anything. I just wanted it noted. And I have no clue what a cowpoke is if someone will tell me. Hey, Pirate Gamer. Not much. We're reading through the first chapter of Return to Sender by Alan Wake. One of his Alex Casey books. Or at least trying to before I break my throat. The sluggos rushed me, but they were slow, clearly used to easy prey. I dodged the first one's attacks, Matador style, helped him along with a push, then slammed him face first into a metal tool cabinet. He dropped like a slaughterhouse steer. The other sluggo circled in, but he was cautious now. He sloshed through the gasoline closer and closer, and I let him because he was one of those big guys who forgot to keep his chin down. Maybe he never had to worry about it before. He grabbed my left shoulder, grinding down on the bone before I drove my right hand into his throat, crushing his windpipe. He fell to his knees trying to breathe as an airway swelled shut. Cowpoke is just another way of saying cowboy. Okay, fair enough. My left arm was completely numb as the fat man charged, barreling at me. He moved faster than the sluggos, faster than I would have believed. One swipe from his enormous paw. Dude, this is just Kingpin. They're literally just describing Kingpin at this point. Okay. Zoe, now your furry butt's in front of the monitor. One swipe from his enormous paw practically tore my ear off. Before I could retreat head ringing, he kept coming. I kicked him twice in the midsection, kicked him hard. The strike should have shattered a few ribs, maybe even ruptured his spleen, but the fat man was so padded with blubber that he merely grunted, his smile firmly in place. A killer whale in a blue terry cloth bathrobe. The fat man circled as I backed up. Not leaving so soon, are you? Mocked the fat man. We are just getting to know each other. It is way past my bedtime, I told him. Oh, gosh. So cheesy. It's so cheesy. I need my beauty sleep. The case, the fat man snapped his fingers. Give me the case and maybe I'll let you go on your way. Give me your address and I'll mail it to you. I fainted as he rushed me, then pivoted a whip kick to his left knee. Heard it crunch. That feels better. He ground his teeth as he collapsed, but didn't utter a sound. He sprawled beside the Ferrari, his bathrobe sopping up gasoline. His smile had returned. I looked down and saw what was making him so happy. 3 small dots in my shirt. 3 small red dots getting larger. I hadn't seen him take the switchblade out, hadn't felt myself getting stabbed. Come closer, little one. I'll put a band-aid on your boo-boo, said the fat man. That's okay, I said. The fat man patted the floor beside him. Come on, no hard feelings. You look like a guy who holds a grudge. Me? The fat man wiped an imaginary tear. You have hurt my feelings. Unsteady now, I clutched at the case, but it slipped from my grasp, clattered to the floor. I bent to retrieve it, stumbled, and kicked it under the car. I could see it clearly right under the transmission. A pity, said the fat man, eyes on the case. Whatever shall you do now? The red spots on my shirt were getting bigger. You really should sit down before you hurt yourself, said the fat man. I staggered towards the door, legs rubbery and half fell out onto the wooden bench against one wall. Isn't that better, called the fat man, grunting as he bent under the Ferrari, one leg dragging behind him. You just take a rest while I get the case, and then we can have a long talk. I gave him time, gave him until he was halfway into the car, his hand on the case before quickly limping over to the controls of the hydraulic jack and flipping the switch. The fat man squealed as the jack lowered, slithering across the slick floor trying to get out. Almost made it out, too. Got his head free, anyways. The rest of him pressed against the concrete by the weight of the Ferrari. You comfortable, I asked him. Little tight, said the fast man. You might want to raise it up a bit. Sure, I lowered it slightly. Heard him gasp. Whoops. What do you want? Hissed the fat man. World peace. The fat man chuckled, and I just gave him credit for that. Oh, you mean now? I said, well, I'd like to know how you found Krieger's secret estate. Okay, Zoe, cat. Please don't pull the wire out of my microphone. Sorry, she's getting a little wild. Yeah, his, Alan can't write dialogue, explains the hitch chant. Yeah, no shit. He, like, from what I'm noticing here, he, like, reuses the same phrasing so many times, it just becomes so redundant. I mean, one of the things I do when I'm writing a script is, during my second or third look through the whole thing, no, cat, now right there, is I'll go out of my way to make sure I'm not using the same words too close to each other, and I'll try to rephrase things. Because I hate when you have... I hate reading something where you're, like, reading the same thing over and over, like, so-and-so said this, so-and-so said this, so-and-so said this. It's like, okay, find different ways to say the same thing. Oh, gosh. Zoe, come on. You joke, Zuzi, but it's very much like in the Lake House DLC when you had the AI trying to write and mimic Alan's, like the automatic typing devices trying to mimic Alan's style, and they're like, oh, the darkness, and the darkness is full on right out of freaking Kingdom Hearts. Okay, where was it? Okay, she's back eating her food now. Okay, world peace. Oh, I mean, now... Famine glared. The spots on my shirt were growing, but it was nothing terminal. It did hurt, though. I lowered the Ferrari a little more. The fat man groaned louder. How did you find this place? I repeated. A beautiful little bird told me, the fat man said, his breathing a little more labored now. Lucky you. Yeah, I am most lucky. The bird who told me wasn't so beautiful, I said. Sad. I watched him squirm under the Ferrari, grunting with the effort, trying to get clear, but he was caught no two ways about it. I walked over to Krieger's body, hung from the post, fished his wallet out of his suit jacket. Nice wallet. Probably looked better on the alligator, but still. Not much cash in the wallet. Rich guys never carried much cash, but Krieger had a black invitation-only, no-limit Amex card, so I guess he thought he had it covered. You could buy a skyscraper with that card, and they'll ask, "Would you like that gift wrapped, sir?" 2 photos, one of Krieger on an airport runway standing in front of a Gulfstream 550, and the other of Krieger and some beautiful girl. Strong family resemblance, although the daughter had better cheekbones. Beautiful girl, beautiful bird, no kid, no wedding ring. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see the fat man still struggling under the car, but I couldn't take my eyes away from the photo. Women are amazing. They get rid of their contact lenses and slip on a pair of ugly, thick glasses, and they look different. They don't wash their hair for a few days, let it just lie there in a tangled mess, and they look even more different. But it's the attitude that really sells it. Slump around, eyes downcast, let your voice quiver at all the right moments. You're a whole new person now. You're no longer that gorgeous, confident, sexy creature in the photograph. No, now you're just the mousy, scared little introvert that shuffled into my office begging me to watch over her daddy. The fat man had met the beautiful bird because that's what worked best to snare him. Me, I met plain Jane, the not-so-beautiful bird, the one with the borrowed kid, because that was the one that could get to me. Cat, why are you scratching at that? Hey, why are you scratching at that? She figured no matter what, one of us was going to deliver the overseas bank codes for her. I looked at Krieger dangling there, his shirt a gory mess. Brilliant guy, tough and cold-blooded, but he wasn't even in the same league as the little girl. He could have just handed over all of his money to her, the whole secret stash, and saved his life. Maybe if he had cooperated, Jane would have given him an allowance and let him keep the Gulfstream 550. I glanced over at the fat man. Did she tell you she knew how to decrypt the code? Let me out of here, said the fat man. Doesn't matter. I told him, if she doesn't know how to do it, she's probably already got some other sap on the line who does know how. I have case, you foolish person, gasped the fat man. Let me out. You have the case. I held the thumb drive I had palmed earlier. I have what was inside the case. The fat man screamed in rage, flopping around in a pond of gasoline, his neck extended from under the Ferrari like some enraged turtle. Hey, smart guy. He had somehow managed to get one hand free and was holding a shiny gold cigarette lighter over the pool of gas. Don't. The fat man's hand shook. Come die with me, boy chick. I slammed the hydraulics just as he flicked the lighter, the Ferrari crushing him on him before he could ignite, squashing the fat man with a loud, moist pop. Blood mingled with the gasoline, sent rainbows swirling across the floor. I had to turn away. I dabbed the spot on my shirt with my fingertips. I didn't feel so good, but I felt better than the fat man. The fat man's organization was going to be coming after me. Not like they would be crying over their vodka over what had happened to him, but they still couldn't allow some freelancer like me to step on the big boss man. Cat, don't stop headbutting. No, don't headbutt the keyboard. Let me just throw that down. Where was I? That's okay. Nothing like people wanting to kill you to make you appreciate a slow sunrise, a fast car, or a fresh cup of coffee. The fat man's organization was the least of my problems, though. It was Jane that I was worried about. So I slipped the thumb drive into my pocket and started for the door, wincing with every step. The coded bank numbers weren't going to do me any good, but they were enough to bring Jane running, her or the next guy she had lined up to play fetch. Didn't matter. I opened the door, stepped out into the cool night air, and kept walking. Yeah, I might be looking over my shoulder, but Jane kept an eye over the rearview mirror. 2. Plain Jane or Beautiful Jane, whichever the one I met next, she's going to find out who her new daddy is. God, what the hell, Alan? She's going to find out who her new daddy is. What the fuck? What the fuck? Alright, so can we just all agree that Alan is not the best writer? I think we kind of already knew that, but this really kind of hammers it home, in my opinion. Like, he can craft good enough stories. Like, there's a difference between crafting stories and actually writing well. And it's kind of very obvious he's not a good writer, and Alan even acknowledges he's not the best. Yeah, he's a bestseller, which is true, but again, he's described as like, oh, you're in an airport and you just pick up a random book to read while you're waiting, or it's like something you read on the toilet while you're doing whatever. It's very obvious why that author in the New York Tattler was talking smack on his book. And when he finally started to agree with that sentiment is when he decided to kill off the character and try to be serious. But when an author goes from writing like this and he wants to make something that's actually really, really good, he's like, I can't do it. Which is probably kind of the reason behind his writer's block. I agree, Break. A lot of the bestsellers are quite poorly written. Because it's not about... Because one, it's an easy read. You don't have to think too much about it. It kind of just tells you what's going on. And he's not bad at crafting storytelling. This is like a typical crime noir detective novel from like the 1930s, 1940s. Yeah, the Da Vinci Code, the Dan Brown Da Vinci Code books are bestsellers, so is Twilight, and they're not well written. Yeah. Like, I've never read Twilight. I have read the Da Vinci Code books, and yeah, they're fine. You can get through them, but in terms of our, like, writing style, they're not great. Anyways, let's get back to the game. Oh, gosh. So yeah, that was book 3. Now we're on to book 6 is what he's publishing right now. And it's book 5 that the New York Tattler was talking smack on. Where's my pen? Where's my pen? The cat's sleeping on my pen. All right. Let's go do this. Yeah, the thing is, if you can get the audience's hooks, and if you can get the audience's attention, I agree, Break. Most people overlook bad prose. Okay, examine the cover mock-ups. Wait, what did I do?
These look really good.
Oh, sure, until Barry gets his hands on them. Which, by the way, will happen over my dead body. The last time was the last time. Oh, and speaking of Barry, he called.
Alan? Alan, please check the fuse box.
I'm right here. I'm on it, honey.
Please hurry.
All right, so this completely contradicts some things as depicted here. But in the novel, they try to claim that the reason the power went out is because there's a lot of remodeling going on in the building itself, in the apartment complex, and as a result, it keeps causing power outages. But again, we're in the middle of a winter storm. I'm much more willing to believe that the winter storm caused the power outage than some remodeling. It's like they added something that didn't need to be there.
I really don't like this, Alan. Please hurry.
So I'm
Honey,
gonna just
it's a
ignore that
power
part of the
outage.
novel
I've got the flashlight.
and say that that's not what happened. Like, there's some aspects of the novel that I'm gonna say, yeah, that could add in, like Alan ripping out a page of the Hartman's book and saying, oh yeah, by the way, there's a car crash. I'm going to the gas station. That's fine. This, screw that.
Hi.
That's dumb.
You okay?
I'm sorry. It just really spooked me.
Don't worry. We'll just break out the candles.
I know it's stupid, but it's just... Especially when I'm not prepared for it, you know? It gets to me.
I love you.
Tell me a story, writer.
Okay. I used to have these nightmares when I was a kid. The dark really spooked me, too. When it got really bad, my mom gave me this old light switch. She called it the clicker.
The clicker, huh?
Yeah. If I ever got scared of the dark, I could just flip the switch and a magic light would scare the monsters away.
Oh, sure.
Here it is.
Alan.
Maybe it'll help you, too.
Yeah, nice story, writer boy. You made that up right now, didn't you?
No. Seriously.
I love you, even if you are a liar. Thanks for this.
And not even get to the point that in this kind of a building, what you would do is you would have an entire, like wall of electrical panels on the ground floor, and it'd be like all the apartment complexes would be like on
How do you feel,
like
Mr.
lined up
Wake?
to next to each
Any
other, not necessarily
nausea,
inside
disorientation, anything
each individual
like that?
unit.
Mr. Wake, how are you feeling?
I'm okay. My head's fine. I had to lie about my headache and memory loss. He'd send me to a hospital for tests. I couldn't leave without Alice.
Very well. I don't think you have a concussion, but you've obviously been through quite a shock. You should take it easy for a couple of days.
Thanks.
Well then, Mr. Wake, we're done here. If the pain gets any worse or you experience any other symptoms, you should come see me. I'll let you get on with it then. Sarah, Sheriff Breaker, is waiting for you.
Okay. I'm actually going to pause here. We'll yeah, my throat shot, and I think we're good for today. This seems like a really good place to pause, and we will continue on with the next stream. But I just wanted to mention a few things here. Oh, no House of Leaves spoilers, please? Okay, well, Tony, I won't mention it, because I was actually just going to comment on why Alan's mom's insane, but I won't say anything. Liar and storyteller can be synonyms. I mean, yeah, Usopp basically is that in a nutshell. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, the note in the apartment complex is about changing the return air filters. It has nothing to do with repairs that would affect the electrical. Yeah, that comment in the novel about trying to explain that, saying repairs of the building, it just makes zero sense because it's in the middle of a snowstorm. Like, it's completely unneeded, so we're gonna reject that as... That's about it. No worries, Tony. Like, I won't mention anything on it. You're good. And it doesn't really spoil much about the narrative. It's just more of, like, background stuff, but it's all good. So there was a comment about Alan having the clicker in his pocket the entire time and only just now mentioning this to her. You could argue there is a hypothesis that Alan actually did not have the clicker since childhood. And that it only manifested in the story during a flashback because the story had to have a MacGuffin. And we already know that the story, as we see in like Alan Wake 2 with Return, can alter people's memories and make them remember things that never actually happened. So it's very likely, or I wouldn't say likely, it's possible that this memory of his that he had with Alice never actually happened. It's just he's recalling something because the story needs to have that as a foundation. Because just imagine if the story went on without this flashback, and in episode 5 when he finds the clicker in the well-lit room, you're like, what the hell is this? It makes no sense for a MacGuffin of magical powers to just show up out of nowhere. You have to set it up like Chekhov's gun earlier on in the story. So, yeah, it's a TV trope called the As You Know. So you had to set up this Chekhov's gun earlier in the plot. And if he never actually had that light switch as a kid, he literally just invented that as a backstory for himself. Or, as we find out later on, maybe that was part of Zane's secret poem before he wrote himself out of existence. One of the two. Doesn't matter. But yeah, I think Alan actually alters his own memory to remember the scene. And that's why he just randomly decided, oh yeah, Alice, here, I have this for you. He would have given that to her a long time ago, realistically. I agree with you guys. But that's the reason why. I do believe that this memory is false, which explains why the apartment is different in Alan Wake 2. I mean, that could be, because again, we only see things through his recollection. And memories are not rigid. Because you could argue in Alan Wake 2 we do physically walk through it, versus it being strictly as a flashback. Or the instance of the snowstorm did happen and was repurposed as a way to introduce the clicker. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't think that he would misremember like a snowstorm. I mean, it's possible, but who knows? Or they remodeled in the intervening decade. Memories can lie. Yeah, memories definitely can lie. But I don't think it's necessarily that the memory is a misremembered situation, but more he wrote himself to have a memory so that he had a chance to introduce the Chekhov's gun of the clicker being a MacGuffin. He needed that setup. But anyways, that's going to be all for today, guys. I need to go take a break and rest. I'm probably going to do extra streams so we can get through this a lot quicker. Because if I remember correctly, at this point, I should already be, like, at the end of episode 4 if I was just playing this normally. Because we're, what, 5.5, 6 hours in. I could beat this game straight through in, like, 8 hours, so it's going to take a while. So I think we're going to go Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, if that works for you guys. Anyways, take it easy. Love you all. I appreciate you all for hanging out. And you guys gave me some good stuff to look into. I will definitely go take a look at some of the questions that popped up. Write it down. And if you have any comments, go ahead and if you think anything I said is incorrect, you want to have it reevaluated, or if you have new perspectives on things or something I missed, let me know. Because again, the whole point of these streams is that before I sit down and write the full, like, mostly complete lore of the game, I want to get everyone's input. Because I'm only one person, and I don't want to be stuck in a little solipsistic coffin. Or not coffin, that's probably a bad term. My own box. I don't want to be stuck in my own box. So you guys are all part of this script by the end of it. Anyways, take it easy. Where do you want feedback? You can comment on the YouTube video, ZOZ. If you're in Discord, you can comment there. But whatever you want to do, it's all good. Anyways, peace. Take it easy, and I will see you on Monday.